Every time I've ever done a podcast, it's been a really big waste of time.
I'm very open to let's pour gasoline on some when it's working.
If you've hit a wall or a ceiling, I don't want to be rude, but it's your fault.
Ryan Alovis is back. This time, he's here to answer the one question that all DTC founders are asking.
I don't believe you could just sell a crappy product with good marketing like you used to. I think you can make some quick money, but you're not building a good business. What I think is always the most interesting is when people have failed and I learned a lot and here's why it was good. I actually say that. I really, really feel that we wrap a bow on failures and, it was fine because I had all this wisdom I learned. It sucks. Failing sucks. There's no way around it. It's just not fun.
What did it take for you to really get LensDirect to start growing?
You could win two ways. One, you could just focus and go all in on a company, which, by the way, is probably the best approach. Or the second way is...
Welcome to You Won't Find This in a Book with Sam Saifi and Dan Castle.
Ryan, welcome back.
I'm back.
Welcome back. And quite frankly, I think the biggest and most burning question on people's minds right now, especially when it comes to DTC founders, is it's a broad stroke question, and it is, how do I grow? So with you running LensDirect super successfully and scaling, Ryan, what I really want to uncover this episode is what are some of those little known strategies that you did when it came to scaling, as well as the pitfalls, the things that thinking outside the box. So let's start there. What did it take for you to really get LensDirect to start growing?
The real answer in terms of growth is it's never just one thing. I will kind of flat out run with that point, but it's never just one thing. It's a collective of a bunch of things, and each of them support each other. So things that, worked for us on the consumer side for LensDirect, I'm very open to let's pour gasoline on some shit when it's working. So if that's going to be paid search, if that's going to be paid social, if that's going to be leveraging your traffic and pushing email marketing and amazing offers up front, it is a portfolio of effort. There are usually the 80-20 rule where 80% of your business is coming from, 20% of your offering. So paid search would be a good example. But what I'm seeing now for LensDirect is we're at a point now, and I know this doesn't help really the founders at the beginning of their journey, but we're doing all of the things where I'm in front of the video and I'm kind of owning it from a CEO perspective and speaking this way. And I want people to feel comfortable with me. I think that, the key growth hacks are things that we discussed in the earlier episode, which is kind of understanding what the companies that are doing really well in your space are doing and emulating and kind of rejigging so it's your own. But I will I'll die on this cross. The things that work are the things that are proven in business. And that really is going to be paid social and paid search. You start there, you build a foundation, you kind of email market the hell out of your customers with great offers. You have that welcome offer that shows up fast and you give it to them. You got to be super aggressive, and you really need to be very excited to try new things. Absolutely try new things.
The problem with the paid search for me, and I think most entrepreneurs would agree with me, is it takes a while to really build that up and see the return on investment. Anytime I speak to one of those SEO companies, and there's so many scam SEO companies out there from all over the world that are always trying to get US companies' businesses. And
yeah. And they did a free scan of your page.
Yeah, of course. You get those emails are you're missing this, you're missing that. And you start to feel ooh, maybe I'm missing something. And that's, I'm saying, not for you, people like you and me that have been in the business for a while, but when you're starting a business, you start to feel oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me hire them. And they're it's going to take 8 months to figure this out. And then you just drain yourself of thousands of dollars a month that you just don't have. And so I think it's really important that we all just listen to what Ryan is saying, go with what's proven. And he mentioned something that's really interesting that we're doing right now at CastleFlex, which is the welcome pop-up on your website. And
oh my gosh,
let me just explain to you. We were doing one thing, and it was first time customer sign up and you get like a mystery discount. And then we changed it to you will get this discount if you sign up. And the difference in like effectiveness of the signups, which then led to orders, was like 4 times greater. And so I think it's frustrating, but also exciting as a brand owner when you own a website, and a little tiny change like that can make that big of a difference, because then you compound it over thousands of people that are going to your site every single week.
Isn't that cool though?
It's so
quick
cool,
adjustment.
It's so cool, but it's so frustrating because you're like, well, why didn't I make that change sooner? Why did I even make that change? And then, by the way, you can't like rest on your laurels, and just because that's doing well doesn't mean that there isn't something that's better. So you should be A/B testing other pop-ups, right? Like to make sure that one is still the best.
It's just one of the things. And that's how I look at it. It's one of the things. And you have to do all of the things, but you don't need to do them today. You could do, you really got to set realistic goals for yourself, for the business. And you said something that you're really smart. And I think the world of online business, whatever your focus is, consumer or B2B, it's really easy to get swept away with these companies that are promising you something. And, we've done X, Y, and Z, and we can build you that. It's the wild, wild west. You got to be really smart and careful. SEO, if you're listening, SEO is long term. SEO doesn't work in a month and two. It's a long term play that takes a year.
At least a year minimum, right?
Minimum. And it might work, and then suddenly Google does some crazy thing, and then you're screwed. Paid search is the fastest way. But what's interesting about you, Dan, and your business, and it's a little bit different than mine, is that LensDirect, we're kind of able to rest on the brands we sell, ActiveView, Focus Dailies, and all these great products. So we're able to sort of reap the fruits of that brand, that traffic when people are searching. You don't have that luxury, and that's much harder. And paid search is not as good for someone like you, where someone like you needs the best storytelling and the best content showing why my product's amazing and better than everybody else. So you have a different thing.
Sam keeps telling me that I need to do blogs on injury prevention and how, because when you put in, I got plantar fasciitis, like Casplex should come up. We're the #1 solution for plantar fasciitis, but we don't come up if you enter us in Google. Like, it'll be a lot of crap that doesn't work. And he's like, the only way you're going to do that is with blogs.
I think Sam's right. I think Sam is 100% correct. I think there's on LensDirect, we look at SEO on LensDirect from a blog perspective is, all right, is it educational? Is it interesting and educational for the consumer? And not transactional. Is it interesting? Is it educational when they learn from it? And I think for you, without a shadow of doubt, that's a winner.
The first thing, whenever people give advice, especially when it comes to brand owners, right? It is never a broad stroke advice. Every brand is literally inherently different. So some people say, hey, don't add discounts in your thing. Okay, but if you're a discount-driven brand and you're selling a commoditized product, that probably is how you're going to compete, right? Dan, in your case, you're solving a chronic pain. If you look at the journey of someone who is suffering from chronic pain, the first stage is research before they choose something, right?
Mm-hmm.
If
Reddit,
you can be that
everywhere, they're learning. They want a community. Right? It's a community. They want to be part of something and be heard.
Exactly. They're on YouTube. They're on all this type of stuff. They're learning for different remedies, different ways, different things. And what your job, in my opinion, as a brand is you become their source of truth. And if you can become their source of truth by giving high quality content that understands, and this is where you use direct response, you use storytelling, you weave into their mind that, hey, I fully get you and I know how you feel, and you regurgitate their own words and the conversation they're having in their mind back to them. Now you have their attention, right? Which is the most valuable currency is someone's attention. Then you have your content. When you deliver your content, and then you actually give them a solution. So you say, hey, this is the solution. Here's how you use it. You reduce all the gray matter in their minds around, how to use it, what benefits it brings, how long it will take. Then they're going to trust you. They're going to actually use it. And because you actually have a good product, now you're going to have viscerality, which is like word of mouth.
Yeah. Top of funnel, be there. You can also argue, when it comes to Castleflex, or if it goes to any of these companies that are developing their own brand, you've done such a great job in getting these amazing athletes to really love your product and they swear by it. But what about, the 85-year-old grandmother who really is struggling, or the X, Y, and Z ex-athlete that's now 70 years old and his back is in so much pain? And I think there's that whole world, that community is much more vast than the Ryans of the world that are playing pickleball. So I think Sam is really, he's onto something. I think that's a very smart call. Be that community, that thought leader. I think it's great.
And the best marketing is marketing that enters into the conversation someone's already having in their mind, right? That is where the best marketing enters. And here's a little hack that I've learned. There's a Chrome extension called Google Discussions. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's called Google Discussions. It's a free Chrome extension. And if you download it, when you go on Google, you see it says like web, and then you have images and all, those little tabs, news at the top. It adds a tab called discussions. So let's say, Dan, in your case, if I'm trying to search and heal plantar fasciitis, if I go on Google and I type in plantar fasciitis and I hit that discussion tab, it's going to take me over every forum inside the entire Google where people are complaining about plantar fasciitis. And that is customer research gold. You are literally looking directly at how people are talking about plantar fasciitis, the pains that they're having. So it's no longer a guessing game. They are literally going on forum communities where everyone is discussing this topic, whatever that central topic is. So probably one of the most powerful things that I found as a copywriter when I was trying to understand, who to market to.
Yeah, Reddit's great too. I will say Reddit is the next frontier, and it's no holds barred. I mean, they're loving the, ability to be anonymous and just crush people and businesses. But it is really important from a community perspective for people that want to enter that space, like you, Dan, and others.
Let me show you guys something. You guys use Perplexity?
I've heard of it. It's like the new search engine. It's gonna be the new.
It's better than Google, right? It's using AI. It searches the whole world, and then it actually will provide backup of why its answer is the way it is, rather than just an answer like Google. So let's say Perplexity is like, I would think, I don't know, a lot of people say it's going to surpass Google someday. But let's see what is the best luxurious full body stretching device in the world. Let's go all out. Let's just see.
I see a Castleflex there.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot more affordable than a mumbo jumbo company they listed, just so we're all on the same page here.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and let's say like if I... Hold on.
This is cool. I've never used it.
It's really cool. What's the best stretching device in the world?
Damn.
Yeah, that's cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Castleflex.
That's great. Hopefully, I'm hopeful that you vetted this out prior to, showing your 5 billion listeners.
I've never done this before. I've only heard about it when I was on vacation, and someone had
Can we find out? Can you ask it if is Ryan Alovis the most handsome CEO in vision care, or maybe the world? Let's just see what it says. I want to just find out. Your listeners want to know. They want to see it. They want to know. Let's see. Oh, God. All right. We're rolling the dice here. We're rolling the dice. Let's see.
Oh, look at that. Is widely recognized for his effective leadership and brand management.
There we go.
Guys,
boom.
Here are
I'm putting all my money on Perplexity. Everything. All the chips in the middle. Let's go.
By the way, look how handsome you look.
Yeah, that's a good picture. Yeah.
It's not like the New York Post where they want to like trash you and they put like some horrible picture of you like, getting arrested. I don't know, but this is what everyone is talking about. That's why I've never done it. I was like, we're in a jacuzzi, and I said to there was 25 people in this huge jacuzzi. And I was like, can you just check what the best stretching device is?
How many people were in this jacuzzi?
This is at least 20. Like my kids were there. Like my brother-in-law, a bunch of other families from South America. This was when we were in
hot. Yeah, this is great.
Mexico. Someone from Harvard was there and he was like, you got to use Perplexity. Don't use Google. And I was like, all right, shut up. You're Harvard. And then he was right.
Oh, man.
Those jacuzzis don't lie.
By the way, I don't pay them anything for this or anything like that, but it's just interesting what they put up here, like what some of these items are.
And it's honest-ish, I guess, right? Like it's taking everything online. So I don't know how honest it is, but it's definitely taking everything online and just regurgitating it in a way that is fast and simple. And I like it. I believe on ChatGPT, you can do similar stuff where you can search now and maybe shop.
But it is wild that we both come up on the first page, you know what I mean, at the top. And that says a lot because this isn't Google. This isn't where there's no like, in Google, when you search, so I just want people to understand, when you Google something, just regular Joe, those answers are very much at the top paid for. So Perplexity, Ryan and I did not pay Perplexity, and I don't even know who I would love to pay them, but that that's not an option for them at this point. So they're being very honest in their answers, and they're gathering from everywhere. And the fact that he was brought up as a fantastic CEO, and Castlefleck was brought up as one of the best.
They didn't mention handsome, so I don't know if it's that great of a technology, whatever, but it's fine. Can we take a minute? I want to talk about reviews. I think it's important now that we're kind of like, we kind of touched it with Reddit, and I'll kind of lead into that for reviews. That's not really like where I'm measuring anything, but I think it's a good opportunity. For reviews, when it comes to business, especially when you're starting out, replying to those reviews and being involved and rolling your sleeves up, I think is a very important part of this journey, where you kind of understand the pain points of a customer, and you also are at the front line, and you're able to participate and be involved. We use a couple companies, whether it's Yotpo which is great for images and videos, and then we use Trustpilot. Also, we use Google. We use all this.
You use Trustpilot.
We have it. We have all of them.
Trustpilot. You have to be the best of the best to be on Trustpilot, because they do not like reviews. I've tried to take reviews down from Trustpilot on previous companies I've owned, and Trustpilot's like, no.
Now they really well, because they claim it's been reviewed by AI and it's been deemed authentic. Here's why reviews really matter: is that I think it's scary. I think it's truth serum in reviews. And, you're held to a great standard where 30 years ago, you could have launched an infomercial, Dan, and you would have been $1 billion company. If it sucked, it sucked. No one knew. Now you really have to be great to build a great business now. And it's just different. And I think it's important for people to hear this stuff. Don't get sad, get in.
Yeah, I totally agree. The reviews are an amazing thing. One of the things that we also started to do that's been helpful is, if you sell on Amazon, just put a little note in the box saying, if you leave a review, it really means a lot to us. Or, if that doesn't work, we'll send you a gift. If you leave a review and you just send us a screenshot of the review. We started doing that. It really helped us, because
I bet.
Oh my God, we have 70,000 customers, and we only have a few hundred reviews in the last 3 years. Maybe we have 1,000 to 2,000 reviews tops. That's so pathetic. Like, the fact I try as a consumer to go into my Amazon account every month and just look at the things I bought and leave a few reviews, because I don't want to be that person that benefits greatly from something and then I don't share it with everybody else.
Wow, I don't ever do that. That's right. You're a noble man. I've never ever done that. I think I'd be sooner to do it. I probably should. I think I would be sooner to do it.
Small brand owners like us, like, why do people only leave reviews when they're upset, right? Like, when you're pissed off, you're gonna you put a nasty review.
It's the beauty of Yelp. You eat at a restaurant that you love, you won't write a review. You eat at a restaurant where you hated it, I'm gonna destroy them.
The model is broken, right? I think someone needs to also fix the model of reviews and try to rethink how it works. Because it's so true. The vast majority of reviews that are left are probably like when someone's angry, aren't they?
I'm going to give you $1 billion idea. Okay. I'm not a software guy, so someone listening to this has to do this. But I want you to imagine this: that the reviews they're basically calculated on how many people purchase your product, and then you get points for people that don't return it, and you get points for people that more points for people that buy it again. Okay. And those points are automatic, meaning those people don't need to leave reviews. The fact that they bought again is your review. That's where you get your points. And you look at, let's say only 500 people leave a review out of 60,000, and you're at 4.1 or 4.2, but all the other people are reordering or had no issues at all. So your review goes from 4.1, 4.2 to 4.6, 4.7.
So it gives you like a Uber rating for reviews, basically.
No, because Uber makes you have to leave a review. You have to leave a review. In this case, you don't. It relies on you not leaving a review.
Yeah, I think that would be really nice if Trustpilot or Yotpo said, you know what? These people, you have X amount of customers. They keep reordering from you. They have not written a review. I'm going to go ahead and assume they've had a 5-star experience. Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool.
And the crazy part is whenever you do look at like the very few like 1-star reviews, it's always like, oh, this came broken. But like, this is the real world. Something's going to mess up at some point. But if someone's going and reading it and they're looking at it like, oh, there's some bad items, it's like, no, this is just the one out of like 1,000 things I sent out was broken. I'm sorry, you know?
Last night, I got an email from a customer at 11 o'clock at night saying, how dare you deliver your package at 11 p.m. at my house and wake up my whole family. I'm giving you I love your product. I love your product, but that is so unprofessional.
Is that really how people like, that's crazy.
You think I'm in a truck, I'm saying, screw them, let me wake up the whole house? We're the brands. We have nothing to do with this, literally nothing. We are not UPS. We are not FedEx. We are not Amazon. Amazon used to do it to me. They used to deliver at 11 p.m. at night until we went in the system and said, no deliveries after this date. I mean, they were literally delivering because they don't want to work during the day. So they get everything done at night.
Well, people do like the night shift and they run with it and it makes sense, but it is so unbelievable that people think that we are USPS, we are FedEx, I deal with it all the time. I cannot, why did you put this in my mailbox? I don't know. I don't even know what is happening right now.
But now I have a 1-star review when you admitted that my product was amazing. Like, it's wild to me. Like, as a consumer, you need to understand that the brand does not have anything to do with the shipping, nothing. So when shipments right now, it's holiday season, it's December 2024, everyone's backed up, including Amazon. Amazon's not even shipping on time right now.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I wish people would, customers would appreciate that the system is so delayed because of it being the holiday season and there's actual human beings delivering your product and there's only so many of those human beings. And if your contact lenses show up a few days late, it's not because we didn't send it out when we were supposed to. It's because the system is completely overwhelmed.
And Ryan, I have a really cool question to ask you as well, right? So in every brand's journey, there comes what I call like the pain point, right? Where you've kind of hit a ceiling. So like you're growing, things are going good, what you're doing works. But from what I've learned from business, I feel like every level requires a different tactic or a different thing that you do or a different strategy, right? You cannot do the same thing and just scale it. So when a brand owner is, let's say, I believe this happens normally in multiples of 3, right? Like 300,000, you got to change what you're doing. 900,000, you got to change what you're doing. 2.7 million, they call it the factor of 3. This is what I've heard, right? So at those thresholds, you normally need to revamp how you're doing things and you hit a wall. What do you do for the founder that is sat here with his hands in his head or her hands in her head saying, oh my God, like I've hit this ceiling and I just don't know what to do now to get to the next level. How did you break through those pain points and those thresholds? How do you smash through and, change it around?
Well, it depends. Is the business profitable and healthy and you could stomach the risk, or you kind of at a bad place and, you can't take any big risk and you got to just sort of like figure it out organically. So depends really. If you're a good business and you have, and you've hit this plateau, you got to $1 million in sales and you've been there for like 2 years now and you're not growing. Well, it's pretty obvious to me, like you got to do something different and add to it. So like some of the key things that worked really well for us in 2024, that made a profound impact was partnerships reaching out to companies like Chase, Bank of America, JetBlue. How do we deliver? How do we get our product in front of your users at a discount? That was massive for us. Then it was, what's the next phase? Oh, rewards. Let's launch LensDirect rewards. We launched it, and for us, it's made a massive impact on our business. We are rewarding you for nearly every action you take, whether it's an order, a review with words, a review with pictures, a review with video. So if you've hit a wall or a ceiling, I don't want to be rude, but it's your fault. And you're not trying hard enough to find the holes. There's endless. I mean, I could keep going in terms of these specific strategies that work. Whether it's the blog, rewards, we built an app, like we're doing certain things. We just launched with Ray-Ban. Now we're selling Ray-Ban sunglasses and glasses. So like, don't get frustrated. You're just doing it wrong. And there's a huge world out there that you can attack step by step. Dan, you talked about reviews. I think you're spot on with Amazon. I would even go one step further. I think everyone that places an order for CastleFlex should get a text email from Dan Castle a week after, thanking them. I don't care if you put a picture of your kids in the email. I guarantee it. I used to do that, by the way, early stages was I'd send an email with a picture of my family in the emails to customers.
You have a really cute family, and I'm sure everybody that got that was like, how did Ryan get that girl?
Cute family. I was getting emails like, good product. It must be amazing if you got Samantha. But that worked. You make people feel that emotional connection. And I think that would work really well with anybody. But I think that answered your question. I hope.
Let's talk about that. This is going to be a little bit dark. But so we are USA owned companies, and we are based here in America. But consumers are losing a lot of trust because they're buying things on Facebook or TikTok or whatever, and then it's coming 4 weeks later, wrapped in some toxic plastic from China with no customer service, and you have no idea how to reach that company ever again. It was such a beautiful presentation. They made it look like they were an American company, and boom, it's literally you're being shipped from a factory overseas. And then even worse is the Temu and Shines of the world that are literally just knocking off everybody and shipping direct from China to the US. So I put a comment on Twitter, and I tagged, or X, and I tagged Elon Musk, and I said, we need to block the IP addresses of Temu and Shine from having any access to the US market, because they're not respecting the entrepreneurs in this country. They're literally just undercutting them on price. And plus, they've just been some new research that came out that the products that are being shipped from Temu and Shine that are knockoffs are very often toxic. They have toxic treatments and films on the toys for the kids, and especially for the apparel. And people are getting sick, and they're not understanding how that could happen. But there's no regulation that's from China. So, and you don't know if that company is a real legitimate company or not. And it's too late by the time you've bought it. So companies like mine and yours, I totally agree. It should be part of the retention flow, meaning you buy the product a week later, you get an email from Ryan or Dan saying, just so you know, I live in Florida or Georgia, and this is my family, and it means a lot to us that you bought our product. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to my team. And I think that means a lot. And I think people forget that being a US owned business is a very big advantage.
Yeah, a U.S. owner operated business it's hard to come by. It's rare.
Consumers want to buy from us, not from some factory in China. So I think they're okay now with things being made in China, but they want it controlled by somebody in America or in their country of the West. Let's be real about it. That can make sure that the quality is where it needs to be, and that there's somebody that's responsible for this if something goes wrong. Because the Temu and Shines, there's no responsibilities whatsoever. So that was my suggestion, and it ended up going viral on X. And I don't have any followers on X. I don't use X at all. But the comment was so widely loved and reposted that it went viral. I'm pretty sure it went to the top. I'm pretty sure Shine and Temu, mark my words, in a year or two, there's going to be a congressional hearing on it. And I'll probably be sitting there talking about my experience with Temu and Shine and how they need to be blocked. And it's not doing anything good for the country. And by the way, they're avoiding tariffs, right? Because when you ship directly to the consumer, you're avoiding the tariffs.
We hope. But, you talked, and this is not about this podcast, but it's interesting. Like, you talk about the things that are arriving at your doorstep and what, toxic chemicals and this and that, same thing with, we're having a hard enough time controlling what our children are eating in their cereal. So like, yes, I think it's everything for sure. What's coming, it's everything. And I don't, thankfully that's not my job, because I don't know how to approach it. I mean, but I understand the pain. We all see it. We all read it.
But trust is your job. Your job is to build trust with your customer. You have that reputation on Perplexity, obviously, because there's a lot of trust for you as an executive, as a brand owner. Trust me, if you want to do some other searches on Google, like, I don't know about Perplexity. That was my first time trying it on my home computer. But at the end of the day, if people don't trust you, they will crush you. And it's really hard. I don't care what your pop-up is on your website. If they don't trust you, that pop-up won't matter.
The the truth serum is there. It's too available, transparent. You need to be a good company. You need to get your product out. You need to own your problems. You need to really be in front of these things. I believe we have the advantage, as opposed to these publicly traded companies or owned by private equity, and you don't know who's running it, who's owning it. It shows up. We have a great advantage that we are able to control the narrative and support the business. I don't believe you could just sell a crappy product with good marketing like you used to. I think you can make some quick money, but you're not building a good business.
100%. I can't tell you how many comments I get under our ads being like, Castleflex is what it is because they're just great marketers. And I was like, I haven't even started marketing this company. Like, I'm just trying to keep up. We are not doing anything fancy with our marketing. We haven't paid for any athletes or celebrities or paid for any podcasts or anything like that. We did one podcast with Lewis Howes, which was a complete waste of money.
Every time I've ever done a podcast, it's been a really big waste of time
and waste of money. Don't pay us for $20,000 to promote your product. I'll just tell you right now, unless you're like a part of the tech stack in Shopify, then it's worth $20,000.
It really goes back to building a good business and doing the right thing and hitting all the levers that we've definitely discussed. And I think people need to move quick on it. We are so fortunate in 2024, about to be 2025. We're living in this great world where, I'll tell you my memories of building my first business, Magazine Discount Center. I was dealing with a developer in Bangalore, India, Mayor. He likely lived in a hut somewhere with no service. And the only time I could speak to Mayor was in the middle of the night on Skype. That was it. It was a custom website. It sucked. It cost so much money. How fortunate are we to be living in a world where you could go on Shopify, take some nice pictures, buy a URL, and build a business? It's unbelievable what we have in front of us. And I'm blown away. It's great.
We can bypass the whole college MBA thing just by, and I know this is a little bit controversial, but I'm one of those people that don't believe in college unless you're a lawyer or a doctor, a researcher.
Yeah, specialty. Yeah.
So I'd much rather, like, I'm grooming my kids right now, is what we talked about on one of the last podcast episodes, is I'm grooming my girls now to be entrepreneurs, and because they have it in their blood. And I'm seeing who's good at what and what they love to do. And I'm like, listen, when you're ready, don't tell me your idea. If you really believe in something and it just won't go away, like you're the same idea for the last 3 years, just let's build it and let's put it online and let's see if people agree with you. If you think there's a big void in a certain market then just let's do it. And they can do it. We can do it in a week. And I'm not saying it's going to be a huge company, but they can learn so much from that process and have so much control over it.
I often will say it's like the shower effect. If you think about a business in the shower, and because you're without any tech, you're alone, right? You're just getting out. That's sort of like the wow. This feels like something you could build out, and you're excited about it. But when it comes to, this is interesting. So we're talking about our children. The other night I was driving my oldest son to soccer practice, and somehow it came up. I helped co-produce a children's series called The Bedtime Chronicles. This is not a plug for this, but I'm just
Oh
telling
my
you.
God. I bought that book. It was so good.
You
My
did.
kids
It was so
loved
good.
it was
I
so
love
good.
it.
It was 90s rap to a kid's book. It was with all the best rappers.
It was a hip hop book and it was an amazing children's story. And my son Jack says to me, and he goes, I remember why we did this. You were reading a book to me and we hated it. And it was during COVID. And you said, Jack, Luke, we're going to make our own thing. And we did it. But here's where it gets interesting. And maybe it will be successful one day. Maybe, I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, guys, it's zero success now. It was a lot of money, a lot of time, and it failed.
So hold on. I'll hold on. I'm gonna say this. We know timing is everything, right? Now with your reach and our reach and so on and so forth, I feel like we should revive that book because we have the direct link to the consumers now on a very large scale, and it's a different world. You started that. I remember you started that. It was like
it's 2021. And people love, everyone that read it will go, oh my God, it's the best. And we have 2 books now. So here's where it gets interesting and why I'm telling the story. It failed. And I'm okay with failure, just so you know. I can own it. I accept it. No, it wasn't bad yet. And it was flawlessly executed. So Jack asked me, Daddy, it was like, how is it? I said, Jack, and we were driving. I said, it was a failure, but I tried and I put in the effort. And I want you to know, Jack, and this goes back to what you're saying with your girls. I said, I want you to know if you or Luke ever wanted to try something, whether you wanted me to help or not, I will offer my full support because you have to try shit. You have to give it your best. Don't be scared. And that was more the point. Failure's okay. Not trying, not okay.
Yeah. I love it. I love that book, and I would love for that to be. I would like one more go on that with some good direct marketing there. I just feel like there's a way that we can do this without publishers. Publishers, to me, are a dying breed. It's going to change, and because everything is going back to what the consumer and what the consumer wants, and that's where Sam's agency comes in, because this is like what he does, right? It's just he skips all the bullshit and goes right to the customer for all of his brands and just says, this is what we're offering. Do you like this or not? And there's no publisher that can make or break it. And there's no distribution deal or anything like that.
Always happy to have the conversation. I wanted to really just give the right story because being an entrepreneur is scary and failing is scary as well. But you could fail. I failed. I failed a few times. I've worked hard and I've found some success. And that's the way the game goes. I always say at the end of the whole thing, I hope to have a few more good days. You just have to have more good days than bad days. And that's what I was trying to share with Jack and maybe the listeners. And I think everyone's kind of on that page.
I think all of us have had our fair share of failures. And I think, when you do attain a certain level of success, you forget about those failures, as in you laugh at them, right? In the moment, they're painful or whatever, or, like they might make you feel some kind of way. But once you've had a lot of level of success, it's like, I know it's kind of cringy to quote Steve Jobs in some way, but he always says, everything makes sense looking backwards. You can't connect the dots looking forward, right? And it's only after you kind of go on your journey, you realize like, I was put in front of that person because they introduced me to this other person who then changed the course of everything. And it's just crazy when you look back how all the dots are so connected, but you don't know that looking forward, right? So when you're privy to that information, you start to step in a different way where you're very open to meeting people because you're like, hey, maybe this is just another dot being connected in some way that could, it's like your best deals and your biggest breakthroughs often come from the people you're acquainted with, not the people you know extremely well. I don't know if you guys have seen this as well, this law into fruition, but it's often that person you kind of know. You know what I mean?
I'm historically the worst networker in the world. I'm going to be very honest here. I think, which is probably why I have such good friendships, because I've never really leaned on any one of them. The world that we live in, you could leverage your relationships and really do fantastic stuff. What I think is always the most interesting is when people have failed and like, well, I learned a lot and here's why it was good. I actually say, fuck that. I really, really feel that we sort of like wrap a bow on failures, and it was fine because I had all this wisdom I learned. It sucks. Failing sucks. There's no way around it. It's not fun. It's just not fun. But the journey, yes, is it can be magical if you allow it.
That's what's so special about entrepreneurs. Like we just love to talk about our failures, and actually we talk less about our successes. Like if you look at even this conversation, we haven't really said much about our successes. We've been talking a lot about our failures. That's just so interesting to entrepreneur. That's what I think I love about being an entrepreneur, is that you sort of take the good with the bad and you learn from it.
And the best part of most stories are the shit, right? When you're eating the shit, like that's where you finally the grit, the exciting part, and it's builds that passion.
I want to share a failure story. This one hurts because I was so close to. And when you're young, you don't necessarily have the same agenda that you have now, right? Now I want to fix problems. I want people to have a better life. When you're young, you're like, I want to get rich. And you just want to be successful. And that eventually changes. You start to realize that there's a bigger picture and there's things that are more important. So I started a company. No one's going to believe this, but you can look it up. And it was called YOLO, You Only Live Once. And so you might be thinking, oh, Drake created YOLO or Adidas created YOLO. No. Dan Castle and two others created YOLO. And we trademarked it, and we got the trademark from the federal government for You Only Live Once, YOLO. And the way that it started was our friend Adam, who was on some TV show, like I forgot what it was called, something like Dating a Geek or whatever. Like you take a geek and then you take like 20 beautiful women and then they all date him, and it ended up becoming Average Joe was the name of the show. And he was like, I'm going on Average Joe. And he became famous at the time, right? This is like early 2000. And all of a sudden he had a huge following. And this was when there weren't many reality shows. So if you were on one and it was on cable, it was a big deal. So he got very famous. Like we couldn't go anywhere. He was like swarmed. And so when he broke up with his girlfriend after the show, or right before the show, he couldn't get off the couch. And he kept saying like, guys, like I'm not going to come out tonight. And we were like single and partying and probably wanting to go to, one of your parties. And we wrote him YOLO because we had like those crappy beepers and flip phones. So you couldn't like send a GIF or people are going to watch, they're not going to understand. You can only like type. Yeah. So we would do like YOLO ... You only live once, like get off the couch and join us. Like this is it. This is not a rehearsal. Like you get one shot. So we started doing this YOLO thing and it started to catch on. And then Adam and his best friend, Matt, who I went to Michigan with both of them, they said, Dan, you're the business guy. You understand how to build a business. Can you help us launch YOLO? And so we did it, 1/3. And I launched the company under accessories and t-shirts. And Nick Lachey gave Jessica Simpson a YOLO diamond bracelet that we sold him for like $2,000 and made at the local jewelry store on 44th Street or something in New York City. And it went buster, like it went bazonkers. Like People magazine had a whole page on it. The company blew up. I was like, to your point, I was spending hundreds of thousands with some company to build a website because there was no Shopify at the time. So I had to spend, I think, like $150,000 just to build this e-com site.
Yeah, and it looks like shit anyways. It's gonna look bad.
Such crap.
Yeah.
Oh, it was such crap. But I'd go to dinner and then I'd go to the bathroom to check my orders, and which wasn't easy because remember there was no smartphone. So I would go to the bathroom. I would not to be.
I don't know how you do that. That's like
I would check my emails and I would just scroll down the emails and play order. And I'd be like, shit, we just got like $1,000 and we're sitting here and I only have to pay $80 towards this meal. That was a good deal. Like that's when I knew e-com was special. And this was the wild, wild west, obviously. This is before iOS 14. This is when you could really make a killing. And the company started to really, really grow. And then all the magazines, all the celebrities started gifting YOLO. We did all these photo shoots and all that. And then one day I got a legal letter from a company in Pennsylvania saying, we own You Only Live Once. And I wrote, no, you don't. It's my trademark. Here's the number with the federal government. Here's the ID number. And you don't own it. I own it. And they wrote, well, actually, there's something called common law use rights, which means if they've been in business before you, which they were, and they were not selling YOLO, it was just the label in there. It was a lacrosse uniform company for high schools and junior highs. So it wasn't even like a culture company like what we were building. And they said, we want you to take it down as we have common law use rights, which means my patent attorney at the time told me, trademark attorney told me, like, any state where they've shipped from their website to, they will own. So let's say they've shipped to 30 states, they would own those 30 states. You'd have to give up your trademark in those 30 states. And I was like, oh my God, how much is it going to cost to battle them? And my lawyer, and I was like 22, and the lawyer was like, it's going to be like, it could be $1 million, like, and you might only get 10 or 15 states. They're gonna all of a sudden start shipping to every state just to cover everything before this even happens. And I was like, so upset because the company was really blowing up, and I think YOLO was a name that I could license and this and that. So I went into immediate damage control, and I wrote them a letter, and I said, because they didn't want to talk on the phone. It was like this weird couple in Pennsylvania, and they were like, I was like, just let me pay you a 5% royalty on all sales. You continue doing your business, I'll do my business. You can't say no to this. This is just money in the bank for you. And they said, no, fuck you. YOLO is ours. Take it down. We don't want to even talk to you. And I was like, are you crazy? Like, we're not competing. You're doing uniforms. I'm doing apparel and this and that. And so bottom line is, I had to drop the company. It was a huge,
that sucks.
huge bust. At the same time, another person I knew had started something similar without the YOLO, just like natural jewelry and stones and whatever. And it wasn't anything cooler than our company, and it didn't have the meaning behind it. YOLO ended up becoming important to people that were dealing with chemo and cancer. So a lot of people were gifting it to people that were in hospice or whatever. And it was like a recovery motivator. And it ended up becoming a really very popular in the cancer community, which is where we say, like, you think your business is going one way and then just goes the other way. So all of a sudden, all the cancer organizations wanted to do collaborations with us. And then we would give 10%, to cancer charities. And it was turning into a beautiful thing. And I had to shut the whole thing down because these people refused to. And then the worst thing about it was Adidas then launches YOLO clothing.
Yeah, well, they had the resources to tell this PA couple to get lost.
By the time the PA couple could send them all the letters, were doing $1 million a day in profits globally with their reach. He became a multi-millionaire. This other guy that was started the same time as me and wasn't as successful. He ended up, because he was just doing like natural earth stones or whatever he was doing, he ended up doing $40 million a year for like 15 years before
business.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the company. Huge company now. That we were going to be 3 times the size of that.
Well, you think you might have been. We don't know. We don't know. But you certainly were on a fantastic path.
I mean, we had the only YOLO in the world, and you only live once today. I even go to you can be in Aruba and there's a YOLO manicure pedicure place everywhere. I could be taking royalties on there's so many ways that could have gone right, and it just didn't. And you didn't make any mistakes with your book. Your book was well done and brilliant, and you should be proud of it. And I still think we should relaunch that. But I don't think YOLO, you can only, some things are just not meant to be. Why would those people not take the 5%? It's so frustrating. Anyway, it didn't happen.
The craziest thing is you didn't throw in the towel at that point. And there are 3 phrases I've come across lately that have kind of revamped the paradigm, the way I think about things. And I think these are very relevant to what all of you have gone through in your failures, myself included. The first one is time in the game is greater than timing in the game, right? You can look at anything crypto, you get in at the right time. The people who've been studying and understanding the markets. So you've been in the game, Dan, right? You knew ecom, you started back then, and now it's like you can close your eyes and you're scaling Castleflex. Same with you, Ryan, right? You started with the magazine company. Your time in the game is what allowed you to now build these brands, right? And the second one is the person that you're destined to be is the person that you decide to be. And this one is really powerful for me because it's we all think that we're predestined to be a certain person, right? But it's only once you make a decision to act and behave in a certain way that you become that person. So Dan, in your case, YOLO went away, but you decided that, hey, I'm still going to be an e-com founder with tremendous success. And you did all the actions that are required to be that. And then you went and, look what you did now with Castleflex. And the last one, this one is said by Alex Amosi. He says, success is simply an equation, which is volume of effort multiplied by length of time. If you put enough effort in over a prolonged period of time, it is literally impossible that you will not walk away with some level of success. You might not get 100 million.
I believe that one.
Yeah.
I believe that one. I put that at the top of your 3 things right now.
Yeah, 100%.
That's absolutely. Timing is actually, that's pretty good too. But that third thing, you gotta, if you do it for a while, you will win. It may not be the grand slam, it might be a single, might be a double, but you will get there.
I don't know if I agree with that, and I'll decide in a few years, because I'm not cutting any corners with Castleflex. So if this isn't a success, then I will disagree with that.
I guess, but success, it's all relative, right? Like, how do you measure it? Like, success to me might be different than success to that guy or that girl or whatever.
Okay, I want a Ferrari, Ryan. It's been my lifelong dream since I was a little kid. I had a big thing for a big 6-foot poster of Ferrari over my bed when I was a kid. It's my dad's favorite car. And I literally have always said, that's just something on my bucket list that I want to be able to have someday. And so I know that sounds so silly.
No, I don't think it's silly. I think it's fun to have that kind of goal. Let it be materialistic or whatever. It's fine.
I'm not a materialistic person. That is a brand and a quality of engineering that to me is second to none. And I just have dreamed about it my whole life, and I still can't get it. And I hope that that's my level of success. No, I'm kidding. But I would say, I would add one more thing, and that is you have to love what you do. So if you don't love what you do, you're not going to push through in those really tough times. Because, Sam, remember how we talked about success? Everyone thinks it looks like this, but it's really like that really line.
I somewhat disagree with you have to love what you do, and I'll tell you why, right? So this is my stance on it, right? You can fall in love with what you do by being good at it. You can love football as a sport. And if I play football and I suck at it, eventually I'm not going to love it as much, right? Or I can basically kind of like something, not really know about it, but do it, realize I'm really good at it. And then I slowly start to develop a love for it because it's working and I start to get good at it. Like, I'll give you an example, right? I never started email marketing loving. I was like waking up at night like, man, I love retention. I love email. That's just the truth, right? I didn't love email. I didn't know anything about it. I started writing emails and I was like, okay, this is fun. And then I started to see the impact it had. And that feedback loop continuously made me realize like, oh, wow, this is something I'm good at. And then naturally, I kind of fell into liking it, right? So maybe at the last tier, you have to love what you do. But I think it shouldn't be confused for like someone saying, oh, I want to get into this because I love it. Because you won't even know. Maybe you love it, you get into it, you suck at it, and then you dislike it. Or maybe this is another thing that fits within the type of person you are. You give it a try, you get good at it, and you earn the love.
What about love, hate, whatever? Those are pretty aggressive feelings. Why can't you just like what you do? Like what you do. I like what I do. There are days where I don't like what I do, and I hate those days actually. And there's days that we have some big win. I love those days too. But I think generally I like what I do, and I find joy in running companies. I like that.
So you own several companies, right? So LensDirect is one. What are the others that you own?
So LensDirect, vision care, e-commerce, consumer, Pulse Health, life science technology company. We help pharmaceutical companies reach doctors, market to doctors, and then Go Answer, where we're 24/7 outsourced contact center. We pick up the phone and handle chat for other companies.
Would life science be a good one for Castleflex to work with you guys on, like to access to orthopedic?
We have them, yeah. I have access to every doctor. I know their emails. They're opted in. They want to learn more about new products. Absolutely would be good.
What's that platform that it's sort of like the LinkedIn for doctors only?
Well, there's Doximity and Surmo. Maybe it's one of those two.
Yeah, it's Doximity. But I looked like doing ads with them a few years ago, and it was like wild.
Yeah. We look at pharma. Why is everything so expensive? Well, because they pay so much money to do things. And, yeah, I mean, we've got access to every type of doctor, MPI, email, specialty.
So you could be like an alternative to Doximity. Like, are you more affordable?
Well, I would say we're gonna email those physicians on your behalf, or you can license the data yourself, and you could reach out to them. We spent so much time really not on LensDirect. That's not the point of these podcasts, and I'm grateful that you guys had me the first time and be more that you wanted me on the second time. You could win two ways. One, you could just focus and go all in on a company, which, by the way, is probably the best approach. Or the second way is, you have opportunities. Like me, I'm opportunistic. I'm not as much as I used to be, but if there's a business that I like, I won't say I never tried. And I think that we were talking about earlier with the Bedtime Chronicles. And I think there are different types of business owners and entrepreneurs. There's the one that I'm going to just stay the course. I'm doing this one thing. And then there's the guy or girl that's like, you know what? Fuck that. That's a great idea. I'm going to try it. I tend to kind of lean in on the second type of entrepreneur, but now as I'm getting a little bit older, I'm thinking I should probably be more like the first entrepreneur too, which is interesting.
I think it's an arc, right? It's like you realize that nothing beats singular focus, because if you put all of your mental resources into one thing, you're probably going to accelerate that flywheel a lot versus dividing your energy. And I think there is an art to dividing your energy where you need to mastermind
about your team.
Exactly. Get the right team in place.
Who's your team?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that is the art. If you're the primary person pushing energy, your energy is going to be divided and both cups are going to be half full. So I think there is an art to it. That's how Musk runs his companies, right?
You got to build a group that provides value and can do the things that you can. And we've touched on that in the last podcast, but that's critical for growth. Whether you're running one company, 50 companies, you need the right crew and the right team that you believe in and they believe in you.
100%. And I think a good way to land this episode, Ryan, is last time we asked you about what you wouldn't find in a book that you'd want to say, right? So we already have your perspective on that. But I think what I want to ask you now is, what would you say to the entrepreneur that is a little bit stuck? They want to grow, they've hit a ceiling or a wall of some kind, and they are looking to grow their e-commerce brand beyond where they're at, but they just can't seem to figure out the answer. What do you tell that person to get to the next stage?
I would tell them, stop reading all these different tricks and tools and stuff like that. Get in front of it, get a camera, and get online and start talking about why you love your business and why it matters and why there's a problem and why you are the solution. We could do it all right now. We've got this thing. It's right here. That's what I would say. And, I'm doing it now with LensDirect. I'm out there. We're going to be doing it soon with Pulse Health. We're doing it for GoAnswer. I want to be in front of it. I want to talk about it. I want people, whether it takes a year for people to really start listening, I want them to understand why it matters to me and why it should matter to you. So that's my thoughts.
If you remember part one, everybody, there's a reason Ryan was invited back, as he gives such good advice. And Sam was like, we put so much effort into this podcast, and of course it's going to take time to grow, but we're seeing like really good numbers already. So and it seems like YouTube is getting behind us for some reason. I guess they like business and there's no politics, and so they're good with us. But one of the things that Ryan said is, just get in front of everybody with your wife, who's your better half, and really people relate to her a lot and they love her, and her engagement is always better than when I do videos. And just tell your story. And I just want to show you guys what we did since our last podcast. So no one has seen this yet. I'm just showing this to you. Now, many people have asked us how we started this company. We actually started this out of a necessity to fix our chronic pain. I deal with herniated discs.
Me too.
And once in a while, I also get a pretty severe case of plantar fasciitis.
Me too.
One of the things that we love about each other, besides the fact that we share so much chronic pain together, is that we're always open-minded and looking for new ways to fix our problems. And a lot of the ways that you typically will fix chronic pain is by going to the doctor, then prescribing you meds, going to clinicians, chiros, PTs, massage therapists, acupuncture, yoga classes. It's expensive and it's time consuming. We have 3 little young children and it just doesn't work for our schedule.
We tried everything under the sun to feel better so that as a mom of 3 and a special education teacher, I could pick up my children and feel like I'm functioning at my highest level every day, and nothing was working. We just wanted to get to the root cause of our pain and feel good every single day. And that is how Castle Flex came to be.
So really what happened was I was spending way too much time in bed. I was missing morning meetings. Like, you have chronic back pain, you know what I'm talking about. But when you have chronic pain, it consumes your life, your social life, your mental health, your wallet. And Carly said to me one day, I'm taking you to Pilates. It's only a few blocks away. Get out of bed, stop taking all your painkillers, and just come with me. And we spent an hour learning Pilates and I was blown away. I walked out of there and Carly said to me, I cannot believe how much you love that and how you're smiling for the first time in a long time. The reason that I loved it so much is Pilates keeps you in resting position. When you have herniated discs or sciatica, anytime you lean forward, you're going to create a lot of stress on the L4, L5 area. What Pilates does is it keeps you in a very safe position. You're never bending forward like you would in a yoga class, which was very scary and painful to me. I didn't want to be in that position where my back could go out at any time. We walked out of Pilates class, we loved it, and we said, how do we bottle this? And that's really how Castleflex came to be. What you notice with Castleflex is there's a lot of pushing and pulling at the same time, which is the way Pilates works. You're pushing, but you're also pulling. It's that yin and the yang. It combines passive stretching, which is just typical regular stretching, and active stretching, where you're actually using your muscles and the areas around your muscles to create tension. And that's called isometrics or active stretching. This device, Perplexity, can do both. We've been in business for 3 years. We have a 4.9 average review rating on all platforms that sell us, whether it's on our website or Amazon. We have a less than a 1% return rate compared to the industry average of 10 to 25. So this device works. It's expensive, but it's expensive for a reason. And we're really excited for you to try it. I think it's really important entrepreneurs understand this. When somebody that is brilliant and successful, and even if they're not brilliant and successful like Ryan, but just gives you a great idea, don't throw it out. Like, think about, does that idea make sense? And why does that make sense? And why have I not done that? And part of the reason I didn't do it is I don't love to be in ads. I really like to be behind the scenes. Ryan was like, if you didn't watch the previous episode, you have to. Again, there's a reason we brought him back. It was such a sick episode of so many golden nuggets as a business owner. You have to do it. And so I did it. And I haven't showed it to my team, but they're going to get it today.
It's really good. It's super effective. I can tell you already. People will love it. They'll resonate with it, and it will be the first of many. And you don't give yourself enough credit. You're actually great in front of the camera. And the beauty of camera and video is not everything has to be a feature film quality production. You're not going to say everything you need to. You're not going to deliver it perfect. Just fucking go and do it and just start. And that was a great job. And you're lucky Carly is just significantly more attractive than you. It makes it even better.
There we go, guys. Got to take Ryan's advice, get in front of the camera, start talking about your business, have fun with it, let people know why they should choose you and what the real problem is that you're trying to solve. And I think you'll start to realize that you're going to start creating a movement. And I think that's what it's all about, getting a movement going over time. Let it compound. Amazing. Dan, Ryan, as always, appreciate your time. Always fun. Hey, Ryan, we got to get you for a part 3, man, at some point soon as well.
If the world wants me, I'm ready when you guys are.